As I've told you before, I do 12-step. It is Al-Anon. It's for codependents, people who have been in relationships with or have had parents who are abusers, drug addicts, alcoholics, whatever personality helped us to turn into the people-pleasing codependents that we turned out to be. And as I've said in prior videos, or is it previous? Prior or previous? We can't stay in the spot very long where we're blaming. It's important to realize it was not our fault. Hey, it was not your fault. Growing up in the situation you grew up in, trying so hard to be loved, appreciated, noticed, honored, cared for. We tried. Didn't work out. Not our fault. We did our best. Nor is it really a child's responsibility to perform in such a way as for a parent to respond to us, love, nurture us. We're not little performing monkeys. We may have been treated like performing monkeys. So I wanted to read this to you. Before I discovered Al-Anon, I often used other people's problems as an excuse to avoid my obligations. Yep. I loved the drama of another's crisis and talked about it at every opportunity. Not just to gossip, but isn't it always easier to work on somebody else's problems rather than our own? Anything to take the focus off of us, because if that's how we were raised, to always be focusing on the caregiver, parent, spouse, whatever, always focusing on their issues in order to anticipate their moods, then our brain patterns formed around prioritizing someone else's problems in order to get our needs met. And then we just continue that on into adulthood if we don't catch it and heal it and reverse it. I found that I was overly interested in others because I had such a low opinion of myself. When I acted as if someone else's life was more important than mine, I was harming myself. Focusing on myself was the beginning of building self-esteem. It's not easy at first. It's going to feel very unnatural. We might even feel bored. We might not even feel worthy of our own attention. I didn't for so long. I'm only recently noticing these terrible patterns of obsessing over somebody else's life and then being upset if they didn't take my advice. I wouldn't even keep a female cat because a female cat was too much like me being a female. It's a strange thing and a strange disconnect between myself and my animals. But now I have 2 little girl cats, little calicos, and I love them. If a life coach or a thought coach ever said to me, you know, you love yourself, I love myself, I would think it was such a weird language. What do you mean you love yourself? What does that even mean? Some people will even hide behind religion and say, well, that's humility. You have to have humility. Loving yourself isn't humble. But love thy neighbor as thyself is a commandment. So if you don't love yourself, how can you follow that commandment? Love thy neighbor as thyself kind of assumes that we have a healthy self-love, right? Some of us never learn these lessons before we die. I don't want that to happen to you. I definitely don't want that to happen to me. I would like to practice a healthy self-love now in this lifetime and not always be jumping to try to solve someone else's problems. Sure, consult me for advice. I'll share an opinion, but I can't treat it like an addiction, because people pleasing and helping and fixing can be just as much of an addiction as it is to be addicted to a substance. Anything to keep our minds and our hearts off of our own issues. Well, that's what addiction is. It's changing the channel. Not channel like Chanel. Channel. Changing the channel. It's like changing the channel on our feelings. I can't tolerate this feeling, so let me reach for something. Let me reach for a substance. Let me shop. Let me obsess over, oh, thank God this person's calling me. I can work on their issues. It will always backfire, because it's not really the best way to grow and develop and become self-actualized. You know what I mean by that. To express ourselves authentically in the world. We're always hiding behind a substance or a thing. We're stunted. We won't grow. We won't be able to fully express ourselves. Think about the super rich and famous people, right? They achieved their life goal, their dreams. They achieved it. And they're miserable. And many of them die by suicide or die from an overdose, substance abuse. Why? Because the being rich and famous didn't fill the empty hole they have inside that can't be filled with material success or fame. So that's the price. Okay, my phone just tipped right over. That's the price we pay for being more fascinated with somebody else's issues rather than being fascinated and captivated with our own dreams, goals, and plans. I prayed that I would have a newfound or renewed passion for writing and vlogging, and the same way I was in 2006 when I started my blog. First year of that blog is a book, Diary of a Fat Girl, How I Overcame Binge Eating Disorder and Learned to Love Myself After Weight Loss Surgery. You should get it. The audiobook is me reading it. But then I went tumbling down the rabbit hole into other people's lives and other people's goals and ambitions, and you'll see it in my upcoming book, From Wheelchair to Warrior. So, hey, maybe take the shortcut and just notice that you're doing that and stop. Prioritize yourself and realize that constantly being a helper fixer is not you being charitable. It's an addiction, just like any other. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow with another video, because I said I would. Be well.